Hey everybody. Hope you're well. Did I tell me somebody tell me, did I start on time or no? Am I still a few minutes late? Guys, tell me in the comments below if you can hear me. I'm just going to take a second just to make sure that my monitor is good and we're on the proverbial page so that we can get this show on the road. Somebody please tell me. All right. Oh, there you go. We're good. We're good. Hey, everybody. Good to see you. A few shout outs before we begin. It is almost, what time is it? It's almost 5 o'clock. I'm on my way out. I'm about to leave this deal. I'm trying to suss out the terrain. Yes, sir. Hey, Anita. I see you again, Anita Grace. Good to see you. Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. Hey, Lorraine. Good to see you, Lorraine. Shout out to Lorraine. Hey, everybody. Anita, I see you, Anita. Thank you so much. Bless you. I see. Who is that? Who is that? Watching from Birmingham. Do you know what's interesting about Birmingham? Is that in England, they say Birmingham. In America, they say Birmingham. Go figure, you know. Somebody said loud and clear. That's what we want to hear. Thank you, guys. Thank you for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to spend a few moments with me here on SML TV. Guys, just real quick, I was listening a few minutes ago. I was listening to Chishimba Kambwili's analysis of the recent by-elections. You know, as you know, the UPND have won several seats over there. And I just wanted to react to a couple of things that Kambwili said. And I must point out, you know, one of the things I find amusing about Chishimba Kambwili, and of course I say this respectfully, I don't want you to think in any way that Kambwili and I are at loggerheads. We're not. Mr. Kambwili and I we're very cordial to one another. I disagree with a few things that he says, and of course, in turn, he disagrees with some of the things I say. But by and large, him and we are very cordial. I find him to be very engaging. So I don't want you to walk away thinking that him and I are enemies. We're not at all. Okay, so let's be clear about that. But he said something. What I find interesting is I find it amusing. Before he goes live, have you noticed this? You know, when he does his lives, his Facebook lives, Chishimba Kambwili will sit there. You know, the camera goes on. Of course, he has a camera guy. You know, and Kambwili will sit there and he'll wait for the audience to build. Now, as you know, Mr. Kambwili is a very serious politician. I don't think he jokes around a lot. You know, and I find it amusing. He'll sit there and wait. You know, he'll just sit there and wait. And then during this last address, I think he called to somebody named David or someone. So David, which they make sure, which they pay attention, gate. And then, you know, he'll sit and look at the camera. And then at one point during the broadcast, I think somebody caught his attention. And so he looked a bit frustrated. So he stood up, walked, you know, stepped out of frame. Out of frame means, you know, he stepped out of the picture and said something. And then he came back and then he began to address. But I find all of that so funny. And if you would allow me to give Kambwili some advice, when you start your lives, Kambwili, engage your audience, you know, talk to them, maybe do shout outs, you know, because oftentimes Kambwili will sit there very serious. You know, my advice is, you know, engage your audience, talk to them, do a few shout outs, boom, and then get into it. Okay, guys, very quickly, I just wanted to react here. Kambwili said, because he seemed to be upset that the UPND are celebrating their victory. Kambwili seems to suggest that, you know, this election victory for the UPND in the recent by-elections were a complete sham, according to Kambwili. He said that these elections were marred by corruption and overt violence and things like that. And that may be true. That may be true that, that there are a lot of irregularities in elections, especially by-elections. But what I found interesting was when Kambwili said this, and I quote, he said, winning a by-election is not a barometer. And as you know, a barometer means a measure, is not a barometer of your popularity. Well, I disagree with that. I disagree with that because, one has to ask the question, what are barometer elections? Okay? Whenever you hear someone use this phrase, barometer elections, by-elections are barometer elections. But by definition, barometer elections are defined as elections that reflect changes in citizens' attitudes towards the government in response to changing political and economic conditions. In other words, let me interpret all of that for you. In other words, if the people are disgruntled with the government, if the people are disgruntled with an administration, they, depending on how bad the economy is, how bad the political climate is, they vote against the government through by-elections. And the results point to the fact that the people are displeased with the government. Barometer by-elections vote in new people without having to bring in or installing a new executive or a new administration. So in other words, people punish the government by voting in people that they want. Are you getting that? So when Kambwili says, no, when he says this here, and I got to put it up here again, he says, winning a by-election is not a barometer of your popularity. I disagree with that. That is precisely what it is. Winning by-elections is a barometer of your popularity. Now, how you get there, that's a completely different discussion. How you attain that victory, that's a completely different discussion. We all agree, every last one of us we all agree, the electoral process in this country, Zambia needs electoral reforms on many different levels. We need campaign finance reform. We need to know how parties raise money. We know that. We need to know the source of parties' money. All that has to happen. People need to begin to change the way they view political parties. Right now in Zambia, the trend is if a political party comes to you to solicit your vote, the party has to give you something. That has to change. Now we have to move into the territory of people investing in the party. If you say you support the UPND or the PF or the MMD, whoever, you as a supporter have to be able to donate money and give money to the party to show your support. That's real politics. Not the politics what Zambia where, no, if you want me to support you, give me money so that I support you. That's nonsense. Total, complete nonsense. So when Kambwili says winning a by-election is not a barometer, is not a measure of your popularity, I believe he's wrong. My opinion is that is precisely what it is. Why? Because the people that vote, okay, barometer elections are elections. Here, I'll throw it up here. By definition, barometer elections are defined as elections that reflect changes in citizens' attitudes towards the government in response to changing political and economic conditions. In other words, if things are bad, the people vote against the government. The people vote against the government by punishing the government's representatives. Are you getting that? Okay, so now, lastly, my word of advice to the PF and Kambwili. This is my word of advice. Guys, focus on electing a new PF president. You guys, let me tell you, PF, you guys are in for a big bumpy ride. I mean, here it is, you're tiptoeing through the tulips. You're complaining about the UPND's victory, and yet you've got bigger fish to fry. You've got bigger fish to fry. You've got bigger mountains to overcome. The mountain that you have to overcome is the fact that you don't have a president. Your party does not have a president. What it has a multiplicity of multitudinous representatives that want to put their names forward as president. But I'm telling you now, it's going to be a mess. It's going to be a circus. You think things are bad now in PF. Oh, you wait until they go to the convention. Honey, they're going to be jumping out of windows. Listen, the PF convention that's supposed to be coming up in March, it's going to make the movie 300 look like a picnic on a Sunday afternoon. That's how bad it's going to be. So instead of the PF focusing so much on moaning and complaining about, these elections, the UPND shouldn't be celebrating because these elections are not a clear representation of how people really feel. Instead of focusing on that, focus on getting a brand new president. Once you cross that finish line, then you can come get me. Okay? All righty. Let me throw up a couple of There you go. Here's a comment. Yes, popularity is measured by winning elections. That's all I'm saying. I love you, Kambwili. I do. From my heart, I love you. But on this one, you're wrong. Love you guys. Bye.